Hey guys, it's about beer 30. Let's take a walk into the kitchen and see what's in the fridge today. Hello everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews. Today, thanks so much for stopping by, I do appreciate it. Today's beer comes from Bravery Brewing. This is their El Valiente. I probably butchered that all to hell. It's a bourbon barrel aged Baltic porter coming in at 11.3%. And on the side of the can here it says aged 12 months in bourbon barrels and finished with Peruvian coffee. Anytime that they've added coffee to it, guys, you want to drink it as fresh as possible because the coffee is going to fade over time like hops do. So if you can get your hands on this beer from these guys, you need to drink it pretty quick if you want to get those big coffee notes. This was sent to me by Robert. This is the first time he sent me a beer mail package, and so far everything he has sent me has been pretty damn awesome. All been A beer so far, so I'm hoping this is gonna be in that same category. Final beer of the evening for me. 11.3%. This is a big beer. Now, drink this one at home, guys. Don't think you got your big boy britches on and you can go out and drink one or two of these and drive somewhere. Don't do it. Don't do that. It wouldn't be worth the consequences if you went through a DUI checkpoint or had an accident or anything like that, guys. That's why you see me doing these big beers here, and I ain't driving anywhere, I ain't hurting anybody, and all I gotta do is stumble down the hallway and fall down into bed. So, please drink responsibly. Beer Advocate doesn't even have this beer listed at all. Again, imagine that. They are dying, they are dying, they are dying, they are dying, they are dying. Over to Untapped. 15 people have commented on this beer or rated it, and they say Baltic Porter aged 12 months in bourbon barrels, like I told you, and finished with Peruvian coffee from Corvo Coffee. So you want to drink this one fresh, guys, as fresh as possible, because the coffee is going to fade. If you buy this and it's 6, 8, 12 months old, you're not going to get the coffee notes that they're going to be in a fresh canned beer. And this was sent to me by Robert. Thanks again, Robert, for sending me the beer mail package you sent me. And he writes on this one, is the only one out of the 8 that he sent me that it had no date on the can. But he tells me it was released about 3 weeks ago, and is a local brewery to him, and it does some really good stouts. But this was a little thin to him and not world class, but a good brew for being a local stout. If they're not going to put month, day, and a year canned on date on it, they need to put some kind of vintage or something. The month, day, and the year is pretty critical on something that has coffee in it, to me. That's just my opinion, though, guys. So these guys want to be in the beer business. They need to have a dating machine and date their stuff. I don't care if it's brewery only release or not. It makes no difference to me. And this one has absolutely nothing written on it anywhere, just like he said. So they need to put a vintage on it, and if it has coffee in it, it needs to have a month and a year. The day of it is not that critical, but the month and the year is, especially if it's done with coffee. That's just my opinion, though, guys. Just me being a date Nazi. I want to see that if it didn't have coffee in it, the vintage would be enough. But if it has coffee in it, I want to see if it was put in there in January, July, December, or whatever. But he's telling me it's 3 weeks old, so I'm gonna take him for his word on it. If it was available here before I've even opened up the can, it had no date or vintage on it, I would not buy it. It could be a 10 beer, but I would not spend my money on it if it didn't have a vintage. And tell me, if it has coffee, it says coffee on the side of it, Corvo coffee, if it didn't have some kind of dating on it, I would put it back on the shelf, guys. This would, if it's a 10 beer, it will not get to 10 from me. It has to have that information for me to give it that grade. Would you buy a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk that didn't have any date on it? I wouldn't. And I feel that same way about beers, especially hoppy beers or coffee beers, because both of those notes fade over time, guys. So would you buy this if it was a year or 2 or 3 years old and it has coffee in it? You're not going to get into those coffee notes then. Just like buying an IPA that's 6, 8, 12 months or older. It's going to be a big multi-mess. So, if you're going to be in this business, get a dating machine. That's how I feel about it. So, final beer of the evening for me, guys. Once again, thanks to Robert for sending me this. Everything's been an A beer so far. Let's see if we can continue that streak. We've got the ABV at 11.3% and no IBUs, and it has coffee added to it. So, big 16-ounce can. Let's get it into the glass and see what we got. He has sent some really impressive beers so far. So I'm hoping this is going to be, well, it hadn't poured very much of a head. Let's stand it up and get a more aggressive pour. And we're going to even swirl it around so we can get maybe a little bit of a head. Doesn't seem to be too awfully carbonated. Doing that little swirly thing, it really, I thought it was going to run over the glass there for a minute. Well, about a finger and a half of head on that pour. Especially swirling around. It is pitch black, guys. It is almost looks like a stout to me. But they can call it a stout or a porter or whatever they want to call it. That's up to the brewer. I'm not getting any light at all through the glass. It looks like a stout in the glass to me, guys. Pretty dark. What do you think? To the nose we go. Oh. Little bit of butterscotch notes. A little diacetyl going on there, but hopefully that'll go away. But I am getting some diacetyl on this beer. Yeah, shouldn't be getting that butterscotch notes. That should ferment away, and it has not on this beer. And it's basically overpowering the bourbon barrel notes on the aroma. Rich roasted malt and butterscotch. Damn, that chaps my ass. I never want to smell butterscotch on a dark beer, porter, stout. And it's there, guys. I am so sorry. It is there. I'm hoping it's going to dissipate as it comes to room temperature, which we will let it do. So, let's get it to the lips. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Robert. Thank you. You can see the head is already dissipated. Not too much diacetyl on the taste. I am getting the coffee notes. Rich roasted malt. Black molasses. Little bit of bittersweet chocolate. More diacetyl in the nose than there is in the taste. The coffee is standing out more than anything else on the taste, which is a good thing. Pretty tasty. The nose is very deceiving on the taste. I'm not getting hardly any butterscotch on the taste. It's just very, very subtle. That's a tasty beer. Usually, when I smell butterscotch on the nose, I get it on the taste. And sometimes it goes away, sometimes it does not. To me, it seems like the coffee is overpowering the bourbon. The bourbon notes are very, very subtle for something that's been in a bourbon barrel for 12 months. But maybe that'll change as it comes up to room temperature. So we always reserve judgment until I come back for the final chug. Butterscotch heavy on the nose, not so much on the taste. Coffee, not so much on the nose, but heavy on the taste. It is a little on the thin side, but it is a porter, not a stout. But it is 11.3%. I'm going to reserve, I'm not going to say anything else until we sip on this for a little bit. Let it come up to room temperature. And see what we end up with. See if the bourbon notes come out a little bit more, and the diacetyl butterscotch notes settle down, and see what we end up with. So that's what we're going to do. It's right out of the fridge, and we're going to sip on it for a little bit and come back and give it a go rate. Alright guys, I'm back. Been sipping on it for a while. Not a lot of lacing left on the glass. The diacetyl has settled down a little bit. The bourbon barrel notes have come out a little bit more. But still, not to where I was expecting it to be. It's a tasty beer. It is a tasty beer. The alcohol is well hidden for 11.3%. The bourbon barrel notes are there now. Not as much diacetyl in the aroma than I was getting when it was cold right out of the fridge. It's a tasty beer. It is a tasty beer. They need to date your stuff though. Final chug. It's a tasty beer. To me, guys, A minus for me. I'm gonna give it a 92. Decent beer. Alcohol is very well hidden. Not a lot of lacing on the glass. Very enjoyable beer though. Tasty beer. I'm not sure I would buy this beer without some kind of dating on the can if it was available here. But Robert tells me that it was like 3 weeks old. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. If they would date their stuff, I would probably buy this beer. Without a date, I probably would not. Especially if it had coffee introduced to it. Coffee's there. It's a little on the subtle side. And the bourbon notes are a little on the subtle side. But it is a well-made beer. So with that being said, Beer Advocate doesn't even have it listed, and Untapped says it's at 4.18, but it's in their A minus range. It is what it is. It is what it is, guys. If you can get this beer, drink it fresh. As fresh as you can get it. I don't know what the distribution is, or everything's from the brewery, or they distribute it out. If it goes out for distribution, it has to have a date on it, guys. That's just me. That's how I feel about it. If it was available here and I picked it up and looked and it didn't have it on there, I would put it back on the shelf and somebody else would buy it. You have to have a dating machine if you're going to be in the beer business nowadays. How I feel. So if you've had the Valiente from Bravery Brewing. Let me know what you think. I enjoyed it. So thanks again to Robert for sending it to me. I don't think I've had anything from this brewery before. Tasty beer, and the acetal settled down. I'm not getting a lot of butterscotch now that on the final chunk that I did when it was cold out the fridge. So tasty beer, tasty beer. So if you've had it, let me know what you think. Till we meet again, let's go see what's in the fridge.